The hardest decision a parent can make is to let go of their child when the time comes. They are forced to let go of the parental attachment they've had since birth. This concept of letting go can cause anxiety that most parents are unprepared for and at a level that they did not anticipate. But to what extent does a parent's love for their child be? This is the story of "He takes his daughter to this hole every day. The reason will break your heart." But before we dig down deep, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to get updated when a new video is being published. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Have you ever hoped that everything is alright when you wake up? Well, this is the story of Somchai Lurak, an Idaho father wakes up paralysed after a horrible crash, only to learn devastating news. On August 10, 2020, Somchai Lurak, 26, was gravely injured when a drunk driver crashed his car at 80 miles an hour when the family was stopped at a traffic light. The offender, Matthew Park, 46, stood on trial for his indictment and pleaded not guilty to 3 charges of felony vehicular manslaughter plus 2 counts of felony aggravated DUI. He escaped unscathed. However, Laura, who had been in the driver's seat, was knocked out, and his fiancée, Emma Wiegand, 25, who had been in the passenger side, had fractured ribs and arms. Anthony Schmock, Lurak's sibling, stated that when he thought they'd made it through the hardest, tears started streaming down his face. He began to recall his niece's lovely grins and great tiny chuckles, and how he would always scoop them into his arms and send them kisses and cuddles. He wanted the 3 little angels to return desperately and said that he'd like his brother to be able to have his children. Lurak is under incomplete paralysis, meaning he can sense his limbs but just can't move them. It's unclear whether he'll ever be capable of walking again. Given the severity of the 26-year-old's injury, his recovery is expected to be lengthy and costly. The victim's relatives established a GoFundMe campaign to seek money for treatment, and thus far they have raised $55,000 of the $100,000 target. After Lurak awoke from sedation, Schmock and his sister Amanda almost delivered the devastating news to him, but decided to wait till he was less drugged before informing him that his lovely girls hadn't made it. They were the most beautiful young ladies, Schmock said. On to our second story. He takes his daughter to this hole every day. The reason will break your heart. Day after day, Zhang Lion, a Chinese farmer, will carry his 2-year-old daughter to the spot he made for her. What is the explanation for this? It's critical to get the baby ready for her demise. Given her severe sickness, the 24-year-old dad feels that his sweet daughter's time is almost up. He justifies this by saying that he's familiarising the kid with her eventual burial location. Zhan Xingli has indeed been afflicted with thalassemia from the day she was born. The disease is an inherent genetic disorder in which the person produces very little or no hemoglobin. As a consequence, the body's erythrocytes are insufficient to transport oxygen throughout the body. Individuals with thalassemia will need continuous medical intervention, or from someone who doesn't know, chelation therapy. The household from Sichuan, China could no longer afford her hospital needs after spending around 100,000 yen. They have tried everything, even borrowed money from many people, but they aren't willing to lend it to the couple anymore, said Zhang Lion. He said he could only think of this idea, bringing her into a dogged hole to play. This is the place where she will be laid to rest. All they can do is follow her around every day. Deng Min, the mother of Xingli, is now carrying their second child. The young parents first believed that having another baby might supply cord blood and thus save their eldest daughter's life. The additional cost of yet another pregnancy, on the other hand, was simply too much to handle. Pair Video featured the story of both Zhang Liang and his daughter Zhang Jinli have received over 16 million views since its premiere. According to Asia One, a Chinese fundraiser website was able to raise around $20,000. Moving forward to our third and last story for this video, the story of Juliana Snow, the 5-year-old who was to choose hospital or heaven. It's almost impossible to comprehend your child's suffering if you're a parent. The idea will split violently across your head now and again. However, you jerk your negative thoughts into positive ones as if you'd been brushed by a fire by accident. To someone who has not been fortunate enough to have seen their child suffer, the pain is indescribable for those unfortunates. Parents and loved ones experience holes in their heart due to a catastrophic event, leaving them heartbroken. Parents of terminally ill children, on the other hand, experience this excruciating suffering daily. They are expected to question the likelihood of their child's death, as well as to witness as the long shadows of death looms over their child's beautiful life. Michelle Moon and her husband, Steve Snow, are proud parents of two lovely children, Alex, 6, and Juliana Snow, 5, whom they adore much more than life itself. On the other hand, Juliana has already been combating Charcot-Marie tooth disease, CMT, a deadly neurological disease. Charcot-Marie tooth disease is a collection of illnesses that affects the legs and arms nerves. CMT primarily affects the neurotransmitters that regulate mobility and sensation, causing muscular weakening, atrophy, and sensory loss. CMT also has an effect on the nerve cells that nourish as well as protect nerves. Muscle tissue starts to deteriorate and disintegrate as a result. CMT comes in a variety of forms, each characterized by a distinct genetic deformity. CMT can be moderate and go undetected well into adulthood in certain circumstances. Children do not often live past the age of 3 years old in some cases. Juliana's CMT advanced slowly and manifested before she became 3 years old. It interferes with the problem of myelin, a nerve's protective layer. Most of these cases are severe, resulting in extreme impairment, loss of sensation, scoliosis, and occasionally mild hearing impairment. This implies that even the most trivial illness, like coughs and colds, can develop in infections that Juliana's system cannot combat. Any sickness has the potential to be fatal. Juliana was able to get back up on her own and walk short trips with the assistance of a walker by the age of 2. She could not chew or swallow her food while her body withered. Her lungs' strength started to wane over time as well. She requires a motorized wheelchair to move about, a tube implanted into her tummy to eat, as well as a device to pump air through her lungs to breathe by the time she was 5 years old. Michelle and Steve now have to start thinking about the unthinkable. Michelle began to introduce God, and later on discussing God with her daughter. She started talking to her kid about heaven. When Juliana became ill again, Michelle and Steve inquired if she wanted to go to the hospital or stay at home. Juliana answered, not the hospital, then asked again by her mother that Juliana knew that she would go to heaven if she stayed home, but the courageous child bravely answered yes. Michelle then told her child that they could not come on Juliana's journey and she must go by herself, but Juliana's answer was enough to trust their daughter. Juliana told them not to worry, for God will take care of her. This time, Michelle began crying and said to her that if they go to the hospital right at that moment, it may help Juliana get better and she will be able to come home again and spend time with them. Michelle talked to Juliana longer, and she wanted to make Juliana understand the weight of the subject and added that the hospital may give them more time together. However, the child was so determined that she told them she understood. The couple started crying again and said that they would miss Juliana so much that it hurt. Instead of crying, the child responded by saying, "It's okay. God will take care of her since God is in her heart." Juliana spent a lifetime in the hospitals and had to withstand unpleasant treatments. Nasotracheal intubation is when the tube is inserted through her nose and into her lungs without anesthesia. She would have been fortunate when she was still in the hospital if she had 2 hours in between treatments. Originally, Juliana's parents planned to transport her to the hospital immediately as yet another infection had surfaced. Despite this, they chose to comply with Juliana's desires after learning her wish. Michelle said that her intention to take Juliana to the ICU regularly was cruel. Michelle made it evident to Juliana that she might alter her mind at any time. This isn't the tale of a child who deserved to die or a girl who already surrendered. This is about a kid who made her own decisions on how she intended to spend the rest of her life. This isn't a story about parents who didn't believe in miracles. Juliana was still alive, and that she had been undoubtedly given Michelle and Steve the gift of much more time alongside their daughter. And that's all for today's video. What do you think of these stories? What story touched your soul the most? If you were given a chance to decide, what will you wish for? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Before leaving, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to get updated on our future content. With that being said, see you in the next one.